wanted a tasty steak for dinner and then realized it's all frozen? Well, that's what we have here, and we're gonna cook this without defrosting it, what I call procrastinator steak. So follow me and let's turn up the tasty. Look guys, we've all been there. You're hungry, you want a great dinner, you actually did go shopping. The problem is you weren't gonna eat it right away, so you froze it. And that's where the problem shows up, because we have frozen steak. You're tired of eating takeout for the 14th day in a row, and now what seemed like a good idea, buying steak, now turns into a challenge. So in order to cook this, most people have to plan ahead, and that's where the problem begins, at least for me, but no more, because we are cooking this steak from a frozen state, and then my favorite part, we're gonna share the results. So the first thing you're going to need is a frozen steak. Shouldn't be a problem, or steaks. This is a ribeye. It's what I'd call an average steak. It's about 1 inch thick, weighs about 1 pound. And so what we have here is just a tray lined with foil. Here we have a wire rack that goes on top, and that's just gonna allow the air to circulate around this as it cooks. From here, it's pretty easy. You just set your oven to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. You put this on the interior rack, put it on the middle interior rack is really what I meant, and then let it cook. How long? I don't know. It's frozen. And it really depends upon a lot of factors. This, how long should I cook it for, is not a fixed answer. Essentially what we're doing here is a reverse sear method, only with a frozen steak. So an instant read thermometer is going to be your best friend on a cook like this. So let's pop this in the oven. All right, the steak has been in there cooking now for 30 minutes. Let's check the internal temperature. And it is 28 degrees Fahrenheit. It is still frozen. So we're gonna need some more time back in. Now, before I drop it in, one thing I do wanna mention is I didn't season the steak before it went in. It was frozen. The salt, the seasonings would not have stuck. We're gonna do that right before we pan sear it at the very end of this process. I'll be back in about 15 to 20 minutes to check the temperature again. All right, set that timer for 60 minutes. We're now 45 minutes in. Look at the color on that steak right there. All right, let's see what the internal temperature reads. "70 degrees Fahrenheit. So we got some more work to do. This is going back in the oven for another 15 minutes at least, maybe longer, but I'll check in once that timer expires. All right, everybody, time's up. It's been in there for exactly 1 hour. Let's check it out. It doesn't look pretty. It doesn't. But let's see how the internal temperature reads. We are now at 110 degrees Fahrenheit, 111, and that's exactly where we want it to be, right in that 110, 115 range. We do need to sear it to get that beautiful crust, that great Maillard reaction all around. And also season it. Right now there's nothing on it. So we're gonna season it with a little bit of salt. I'm gonna pan sear it on both sides for about a minute and then test the results. All right, so this took precisely and exactly 1 hour to cook, reaching an internal temperature of 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, what I wanna do is, before I drop it in the pan, I wanna just get that moisture off the top to promote a nice sear. As we can see on this side doesn't look as good as the top, but we're gonna go ahead and get the moisture off there as well. Next up, we're gonna get it with salt on both sides. Now to some of you, this might look like a lot of salt, too much salt, but when you pan sear a steak, a lot of that salt's gonna stick to the bottom of the pan. All right, now that we have it salted, set that aside. Or we're gonna get this cast iron skillet ripping hot, because we're only gonna sear for about a minute per side. Once it gets hot, I'm gonna drop in a little bit of avocado oil. It has a very high smoke point. There are other oils you can use. I really like this one. I also find it provides a nice color to the steak as well. Drop it in. I'm gonna press it down to make sure it gets full contact. Create a nice crust. And that's also why you need to add lots of salt, because some of it's going to end up on your hands. Now look at that. That has an amazing looking color on it. About 30 more seconds and we'll be done. Right now it's temping out. Also for those of you at home, it's currently temping out at 120 degrees Fahrenheit. That is a rare steak. And when I pull it off, 121, it's gonna continue to rise up in temperature, 122, about another 5 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, we're gonna let that rest for 5 minutes and then test the results. All right, so the steak is finished and I have my taste tester here. What's your name?
Cora.
Cora, and how do you like your steak cooked, Cora?
Medium rare.
Now that's a woman with good taste right there. I like medium rare. And speaking of medium rare, we pulled this steak off at its internal temperature of 122 degrees Fahrenheit with some carryover. That should get us to a nice medium rare temperature. But let's cut in and find out. What's your favorite thing to eat, Cora? What's your favorite thing to eat for dinner?
Maybe steak and green beans.
Steak and green beans. Well, that sounds healthy. So what color should the inside of this steak be?
Like
If it's
a
cooked
pink?
like a pink, if it's cooked medium rare. And look at that. That's what we have right there. Medium rare color. Sometimes these studio lights mess with the color a little bit. So it's not as pink as you might see it if it weren't in those lights, but that's a good color right there. Let's cut in and see how it tastes. So you need to tell me, we cooked this steak from frozen. It was not defrosted at all. Why don't you go ahead and bite in and see how it tastes? And I'll do the same.
Honestly, I love it. It tastes really good, really yummy, and I would definitely eat it again.
Okay, yeah, that's my review as well. It tastes exactly like a steak would had I defrosted it. It took a little longer to cook, about 60 minutes. And that's kind of a long time to wait when we're hungry for dinner, isn't it? But it's also healthier than takeout. And in reality, the 60-minute cook time, the time that it took to cook, it would have taken longer had I actually defrosted the steak first and cooked it. So all in all, I think thumbs up. We would do this again. We never ever need to let frozen steak get in the way of having a tasty meal around here, right?
Yeah.
Would you like to close out the video for me?
So thank you for watching this video, and please like and subscribe to his channel.
We'll see you guys next time. Have another bite.